Okay. So let's chant from the 10th verse, chapter 8. प्रयाणकाले मनसाचलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव
प्रयाणकाले मनसाचलेन भक्त्या युक्तो योगबलेन चैव
भ्रुवोर्मध्ये भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् सतं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्
भ्रुवोर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् सतं परं पुरुषमुपैति दिव्यम्
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः
यदक्षरं वेदविदो वदन्ति विशन्ति यद्यतयो वीतरागाः
यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये
यदिच्छन्तो ब्रह्मचर्यं चरन्ति तत्ते पदं संग्रहेण प्रवक्ष्ये
सर्वद्वारिणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च
सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च
सर्वद्वारिणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च
सर्वद्वाराणि संयम्य मनोहृदि निरुध्य च
मूर्त्यात्मनः प्राणम् आस्थितो योगधारणाम्
आस्थितो योगधारणाम्
ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन्
ओमित्येकाक्षरं ब्रह्म व्याहरन् मामनुस्मरन्
यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम्
यः प्रयाति त्यजन् देहं स याति परमां गतिम्
अनन्यचेता सततं यो मां स्मरति निश्चयः
अनन्यचेता सततं यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः
तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः
तस्याहं सुलभः पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिनः
मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयमशाश्वतम्
मामुपेत्य पुनर्जन्म दुःखालयमशाश्वतम्
नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः
नाप्नुवन्ति महात्मानः संसिद्धिं परमां गताः
आब्रह्मभुवनालोकाः पुनरावृत्तिनोऽर्जुन
ब्रह्मभुवनालोकाः पुनरावर्तिनोऽर्जुन
मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते
मामुपेत्य तु कौन्तेय
पुनर्जन्म
पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते
सहस्रयुगपर्यन्तम् अहर्यद्ब्रह्मणो विदुः
सहस्रयुगपर्यन्तम् आहर्यं
ब्रह्मणो
आहर्यद्ब्रह्मणो विदुः
रात्रिं युगसहस्रान्ताम् देहोरात्रविदो जनाः
रात्रिं युगसहस्रान्ताम् देहोरात्रविदो जनाः
अव्यक्ताद्व्यक्तयः सर्वाः
अव्यक्ताद् व्यक्तयः सर्वाः
प्रभवन्त्यहरागमे
प्रभवन्त्यहरागमे
रात्र्यागमे प्रलीयन्ते तत्रैवाव्यक्तसंयगे
रात्र्यागमे प्रलीयन्ते तत्रैवाव्यक्तसंज्ञके
भूतग्रामस एवायम् भूत्वा भूत्वा प्रलीयते
भूतग्रामस एवायम्
भूत्वा
भूत्वा
प्रलीयते
भूत्वा प्रलीयते
रात्र्यागमे वशः पार्थ प्रभवन्त्युयुगः रात्र्यागमे वशः पार्थ
रात्र्यागमे पार्थ
रात्र्यागमे वशः पार्थ प्रभवत्यहरागमे
प्रभवत्यहरागमे
परस्तस्मातु भावोऽन्यः
परस्तस्मातु भावोऽन्यः
व्यक्तो अव्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः
अव्यक्तो व्यक्तात् सनातनः
यशः सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यस्तु न विनश्यति
सर्वेषु भूतेषु नश्यत्सु न विनश्यति
अव्यक्तोऽक्षर इत्युक्तः तस्माहु परमां गतिम्
अव्यक्तोऽक्षर इत्युक्तः
तमाहु
परमां गतिम्
यं प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम
यं
प्राप्य न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम.
So the last class we were talking about the path to reach there, the roadmap to reach there, right? And Bhagwan gave us multiple ways. One, he said, close those doors that you have, sense organs, senses. He also talked about, the importance of Om, vibrations. He also talked about, having single pointed focus towards him in a loving manner with a lot of devotion. And doing the sadhanas continuously, regularly, and doing it with a lot of ease, right? So remember Ananta Chetana, Dhirga Kala, all of these words were used. What are these? These means just, it's not something that you do just for a short period of time and we stop it. We do it continuously. And so having come through all of this, then he said, once somebody reaches me, or let's just say reaches me, it's a wrong word, it actually merges with me, there is no way that person is going to go back to, the earlier state, right? And so there we have to understand a few things, right? What is this reaches me? He's talking here. He's addressing whom? He's addressing Arjuna, right? And who's Krishna for Arjuna? Guru himself. So here we have to understand this, those of us who have a guru in our life, we look at this as when we are saying connect with me, reach me, even the guru, the guru in our lives, the connecting there also the same thing, right? If you remember the shlokas that we chant always, right? Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma. That Brahman is none other than the Guru himself. So just connecting or, relating to that, sometimes it is easier than to, connect with an abstract nirguna, Shakti, right? So that is where a guru's thing comes in, and all these things that we just talked about, chanting of Om, the sadhana practice, something that we can do on. Now, getting into these next few stanzas, just a warning, it gets into very subtle topics. My suggestion to all of us is to not take notes. We are recording these things, right? So we can always refer to them. But this gets into topics that this sometimes beyond our comprehension. A logical mind may not be able to just relate to it so easily. So the 16th stanza talks about the different planes of existence, right? It talks about lokas. It just simply says, the stanza says, everybody reaching till the Brahma Loka will come back to this human body at some point in time, right? But then somebody who reaches me has no rebirth, which is he's stressing all and all again. Now, what are these lokas? We have to understand them, right? Lokas are not some geographical entity somewhere, right? They're all planes of existence or planes of experiences. And all our Swamijis, all our gurus, point and give us different examples or first to be able to relate to this, right? So just understand the loka itself, right? For those of us who do Gayatri mantra, right? We say Om Bhuhu Bhuvaha Suvaha Mahaha Janaha Tapaha Ogum Satyam, right? So these are the higher planes of existence. Bhu is where we are living, which is the earth. Then Bhuvaha, Suvaha is where the Pitrus plane of existence is, and then Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, Satyam. Satyam is considered as the Brahmaloka. Correct? All of these are lokas. Lokas means what? These are existence which have a finitude. That means even the Brahmaloka is finite. It has got a time and space, element to it. It is not infinite. So that means what? The absolute creation or the absolute existence, or you can call, the entity that we're talking about merging with is beyond Brahmaloka. That is one thing we have to be clear. So what is this now, this layers of existence, right? One way to understand is this, right? Let's just say that, just look at this, correct? There is, when we talk about even in this worldly plane, we say there is a world of objects. So there is a world of doctors, or there is a world of engineers, world of lawyers. So they all talk in one same wavelength, isn't it? They are in a one particular plane. Let's say I, as an engineer, if I were to go into a place where there's a lot of lawyers talking, I feel out of place. That is a experiential level of lawyers talking. Similarly, doctors. So they all have something similar in common. So then let's ask about the thing that we normally hear in Western thing, which is heaven and heaven. Right? When we talk about heaven, we are talking about amongst these lokas, it is there. Now, what is heaven and hell is also a state of mind. It is not again a geographical entity. Heaven is a state of mind. While we are living itself, right? When I'm peaceful, when I'm happy, we say, wow, it's heavenly. Looking at that waterfall, being in that temple, doing puja, I feel so heavenly, isn't it? We say that very casually. What does it mean? We are in a tranquil space. We are somewhere where, there's a stillness, so nothing is moving. On the other hand, when we are agitated, something has happened bad, right? Something tragic has happened. It's like hell. I'm going through some surgery. It has a lot of pain. It's like hell. We say that very casually. So it is a state of mind, it's in each one of us that define what the heaven and hell are. Right? So now coming back to this lokas part of it, right? Now let's understand where we are. Let's just say, let's look at also bring in the time factor in a little bit, just so that one is able to understand. So when I am agitated, let's say when I've had a surgery and I'm having painkillers, what happens to time? Time doesn't fly. It just seems to be like an endless time when I'm having this pain, isn't it? Right? Or I'm standing in front of a queue somewhere in a government office waiting for somebody's signature. It looks like hell, waiting for that time. On the other hand, when I'm peaceful, what happens? The time seems like it is flying. Let's say you have a marriage tomorrow, you have to spend a lot of effort overnight to do it, and you don't look at evening, night, dinner, sleep, etc. You just do it, and before too long, the actual time clock, right, is it just seems like time has flown. Just think about the meditation, right? That we all do regularly, right? And we do this definitely in this class constantly. Many a times, what happens, right? We meditate, right, and we are there, probably close our eyes, and before too long, Guruji says, open your eyes. It appears though that we have closed our eyes maybe for 10-15 minutes, but actually it is close to 30 minutes, that maybe or longer than that, the meditation has happened. Don't we realize it? So even though time-wise we say time, is an interval between two events, it is relative. The state of my mind governs what the time is, right? For the same two people, right, who's somebody in a same circumstance, in the same temple, or in the same situation, they may experience time relatively very differently. Somebody might say, oh, wow, this is, time just flew, yeah. Somebody who's doing Parayanam in a temple, Akhanda Rudra Parayanam or Vishnu Sahasranam, etc. Time just flies. Oh, before too long, 1 hour is gone. For somebody who's not in tune with it, it just seems like, it looks like 3 hours. So what is relatively 30 minutes for somebody may be looking like, orders of magnitude higher. Same is the case with lokas, right? What is a time factor here for me on earth is a different time factor in these different planes of experiences, right? So that is one basic thing we just keep in mind. So what Krishna is telling in this particular stanza, and there are about 4 or 5 stanzas that also bring in time factor here, is that those people who reach Brahmaloka. Now, what is it that governs who goes where? Swamiji says, all the gurus say, your karmas determine where you go to. Right? Whether it is Bhuvaloka, Suvaloka, or Brahmaloka, etc. All that is governed by how exactly we live our existence in this human body. Nothing else. How long we are there also is defined by karma. Right? And the existence we get into after that is also based on our karma, because those impressions get carried over to the next body. Right? So it's a cycle that we are continuously going through. So here what he's saying is that Brahmaloka is also a plane of existence, which is a very high level state. So just to relatively put this, and again, we don't need to look at each one, dissect what each loka is, etc. Right? So earthly existence is Bhuloka, right? The prana level of consciousness is considered is Bhuvaha. Suvaha is where the divinity level of the consciousness starts increasing step by step and step, right? There is a lot more, what you call, let's say a deep meditator or a yogi. Each one of them go to these higher levels, based on what they have done and based on the punyas that we have. So when somebody says go to Brahma Loka, what the Shastras say, what the Gurus say, I'm not saying any of this, is the fact that, if you have done a lot of punya, those punyas all have to be experienced in that loka. Now, don't ask me how exactly is that experience done, etc. Let's just for now take it as a fact that you experience that. You are given all kinds of goodies, let's call it that way, right? And then once those goodies are done, that means that punya, whatever experiences have to happen because of that punya come to naught or zero, you come back to the physical body. That is how the cycle goes, right? And so this is what is continued. Now here what he's saying, therefore, is that once you get to Brahma Loka, you're going to come back. So obviously above Brahma Loka also there is something. One thing I didn't mention earlier, it doesn't apply to all of us here, but let's say those of us who have done, lot of dharmic things, etc., there are also lokas below. There's a Patala Loka, Vitala Loka, there are totally about 14 primary lokas that is there in the scriptures. And there are some sub lokas also. We don't need to get into all of them. For us, our relevance is that we are all seekers here. So obviously we are trying to go above the, in a plane of existence above the earth level, right? Which is the Bhuloka. So Brahma Loka. So here, so this is the first, concept or first thought process we need to have in our mind about where this Loka comes in. And what does this Loka mean? It is just a place where people of a similar experiential level are there. So let's say who has done somebody sadhana throughout, right? Or somebody who's doing Ashtanga yoga regularly. All of them having practiced this in their life go to a particular plane. So they all, you've heard of the word satsanga, right? Satsanga means what? People of similar mindset, people of similar goals. They all get together and do things. So that plane of existence is what we are talking about even in these lokas. So Brahmaloka is also called Hiranyagarbha. A lot of names are given for all of this. So in the 17th verse, he says, that a person who knows the day of a Brahman and the night of a Brahman, they are the ones who really appreciate what day and night is what it says. Right? So here, this again, all of these verses, if you see the literal meaning, as it is in the text, it is bounces, literally bounces. But here we have to understand what Brahma Loka means, right? So here, when we talk about, the yugas, Brahma Loka is considered one day, just a day of a Brahma Loka is considered 1,000 times of the Mahayugas. Now, what does that Mahayuga mean? Let's just take the, the yuga that we are in, which is what? So we started with Satya Yuga, then came Treta Yuga, and then came Dwaraka Yuga, and then now we are in Kali Yuga, right? We are in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the shortest of the four. Like it's 432,000 years is what is written in the Shastra. Now, the Yuga before this is twice it. The Yuga before that, which is Treta Yuga, is 3 times it, and Satya Yuga is 4 times it. So if we add it up all together, it comes 10 times Kali Yuga, which is 4,032 lakhs. So somewhere in that order. If you multiply 4,32,000 into 10 is considered one Mahayuga. Just look at the scale. 1,000 times that is considered the day of a day in Brahmaloka, not Brahman. So here the word Brahma and Brahman, we have to be very clear. When we talk about Brahman, we are talking about that ultimate entity. On the other hand, Brahma Loka, you can call it something, as more as a creator for us. No, for simplicity's sake, we can call the creator, which also is bound by space and time. Brahma Loka, because when we are talking about a day and a night, it means it has got an existence, right? Even though the scale of existence is very, very high compared to that of the earth where we live. But on the other hand, it is still 1,000 times a Mahayuga, which is whatever, 4,032 lakhs. Correct? So 1,000 times of that is considered the day, and 1,000 times of that is considered a night. So where we are living now, we are living in Kali Yuga. And one of the Purohits has somewhere referred to the fact that we are somewhere around 50 years of Brahma, of Brahma now. So there is a lot more space we don't need to worry about in this particular life where we are. But there is, because we have already come into Kali Yuga, that means we have gone, Satya Yuga, where what all happened, Mahabharata happened later, Ramayana happened in Treta Yuga, Dwaraka Yuga is where, Mahabharata happened, and where we are. And if you read all the scriptures, it says Kali Yuga is the one where, things go from bad to worst, right? That's what it's talked about. Guruji says otherwise differently, right? Everywhere there was a Rakshasas even earlier. It's not that they were not there. So it's a matter of, again, how you deal with everything, right? So, so what happens in the day, what happens in the night, it's all going to come in a little bit here in these following stanzas. Why it is considered, why it is considered, again, something that's bound by space and time. So time, as we said, is very, very subjective, right? Let's look at something very simple, right? We today think we are a human life. For us, time interval is between two events, as we said. And we live, let's say, 80, 100 years. Some live beyond 100 years. Just for example, all of us, if you look at it from the overall space of gamut of time of, let's say, millions of years, we've been born thousands and thousands of times, isn't it? And we don't know how many more times we're going to be coming back into this body. But the point is that we have all gone through unicellular organisms, multicellular organisms, to insects, to birds, to animals, then now into human species, which is considered the highest, right? That can reach the ultimate. But let's just take when we are all at some point a moth. If you take a moth, its life is about 1.5 hours. In those 1.5 hours, it is born, it grows up, and then it also procreates during that time, and then it perishes. In fact, it doesn't even perish. Somebody comes and eats it. Either an ant eats it, or a lizard comes and eats it up, right? So you don't even see the moth, from where it came, where it went. You don't even notice it, because it's all taken care of by nature. So if I was at that time when I was a moth, just imagine, I'm living for 1.5 years. That is my time of existence. I look at people around me like human beings. Some human beings are there. And I look at this entire space. Just look at how it will be visualized, right? It will look like, boy, they are living for, thousands and thousands more times than what I am here. I, as a moth, have lived just, it's just compared to that, a human being is living, let's say, 80 years compared to 1.5 hours. You just do the multiplication factor. How much is it? Similarly here also, right? We are living in this human body, and this is the absolute. Guruji has said one thing very clearly, and always all sages say, what we know that is this world, or whatever we call as a world, is hardly 1% of what actually exists. 0.3, 0.4% is all that we know. what exists about 99 plus percentage, which we are totally unaware of. There's so much more to it. Even what we live in, we don't know much, right? Because we are in a little shell of our own. But let's just say that I've been to everywhere on the world, everywhere, every geographical entity on the so-called planet Earth. It still is a small existence. There's so much more to it than what exists. So if I look at the more, therefore, the time span of a human birth is so much more. If you look at our own existence, right, we have come here probably, for thousands of lifetimes. So if I look at my span, as a consciousness, right, I have been here for probably thousands of years. And in this body that I'm here for a temporary time, 70 years. In the span of all those, it's again a small thing. If I look at my body from a satellite or from a plane, I look like nobody is existing, little ant. So we just have to, when we look at all of these stanzas, right, we just have to look at, I'm not to say that, we are insignificant, we are not important. Don't get, it's not to get, diminish ourselves. It is also to say how humble we need to be, right? This in the space of this entire cosmos, in the space of even our own lives, is a small speck. Why are we saying all of this? Is not to get caught on the little things that happen in our lives. Somebody told me this 10 years back. Yesterday I was meeting somebody, who came for a therapy. I was talking about 5 years earlier, my in-law said this, and it's still bothering me. Or, or this is not happening to my child, that is not happening to my child. All kinds of things, little things, myself, my buddy, my husband, my wife, etc., we get caught into. We just look at things in a little wider spectrum of things. All this appears as nothing, right? And therefore, we should look at, at a larger scale, what are the things that I can do best in this human life, right, to reach there. And that is where some of the things that, Krishna already referred to earlier has come in, right, that we follow. So, going on to the 18th verse. So what Krishna says is that for every day of Brahma, once, let's say he goes into the night of a Brahma, lot of things get into what is called pralaya. Pralaya means what? Dissolution. There is a pralaya that happens when Brahma goes to sleep. That means what? All the lokas from the lokas until Suvar Loka, all of them go into dissolution. The dissolution means what? They go from manifest to unmanifest. Now, this would seem fairly abstract, hard to understand. Let's just take our own life. Every day we go to sleep. Yes or no? Do we have any clue of what is happening when we nod off and sleep until the next morning? We go into deep sleep. We are actually going into a pralaya of our own. It's called Nitya Pralaya. Nitya Pralaya means what? All my thoughts, my impressions, my body, my mind, my emotions, everything is taken off. It merges with my own causal body. And the moment I wake up, everything comes back into manifested form. So I am going through myself every night, manifest to unmanifest. Every morning, unmanifest to manifest. We don't realize it because we think, oh, I'm in the same body. But actually, we're going through that. So this is the way to, rationalize or at least think about what that word dissolution would mean when Brahma goes to night, Brahma night starts. And when the day comes for Brahma, the same set of people or living things that went into Pralaya come back into manifested form. When I die, also another type of pralaya. And then when I'm born again, the same impressions that I carried, the same dislikes, likes, dislikes, comes into another body, gets manifested, and it has to be experienced, yes or no? So day and night, we're going through this every day, right? We're going into a deluge. We don't just realize it. That's the reason they say that deep sleep has got so much science behind it. So deep. It is not something that, can be fathomable. It's unfathomable, is what is said. That's the word called deep sleep, that we all experience it. So therefore there is, the thought process is that we've understood a little bit about, these lokas. We have understood that there is different, time scale behind it. So now let's understand the time scale also, right? That we were talking about time scale. So when we talk about time, we have, let's say, this Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha, right? 15 days. If you take, for example, the Pitraloka, right? Pitraloka, the 1 day of Pitraloka is considered the Shukla Paksha day, which is 15 days of our existence. And the Krishna Paksha, which is the other 15 days, is the night of Pitraloka. Now, if you go one higher level, which is the Devata Loka, right? There are 6 months of Earth, what we call as 6 months, which is just is called Uttarayana. That Uttarayana is a day for the Devatas. And the Dakshinayana, which we call for ourselves, which is the other 6 months, is considered the night. So like that, if you see, these are all different time scales. And if you relate this to the moth example that we talked about, right? We just have to look at it, it is not that somebody who's going there is living for eons together, right? In their scale of time, they're living for a very short period of time. We may think that in a Brahma Loka, 1,000 times that, it just looks like a long time, but hardly anything. Because in their scale, they are all in a blissful state. Time flies. For us, you and I, right, we are living in this worldly existence where we are getting tormented by this and that and, all kinds of challenges. It just appears like the time is, slowly crawling. When is night time coming? But if I'm in a state where I'm totally in a blissful state, time just flies. So it is not, so therefore for us, it is maybe hard to imagine, 1,000 times Brahma Loka, how would a day look like? It looks forever and ever and ever, never, right? It just, it is a relative thing. That's the reason you have to understand time is relative, right? You've had your children go and play, correct? When you're all young children. Sometimes they play for, for you think 3-4 hours. They say, oh, time is up. Is it, I have to come back. They'll ask, right? What does that tell you? When they are playing, when they are in such a blissful state in their own world, time just flies. So these things we have to just ingrain in ourselves, we have to look at things in a slightly different manner. So all of this, therefore, when the earth that we are living in has got a certain reference. It is not that what is defined as in science as time between events as time is actually absolute. So one is absolute time, one is experiential time. Absolute time is governed by what the clock says. No, nobody can debate that. But at the same time, this experiential time is all relative. And that will vary from one person to the other. Right? So going beyond Brahmaloka. Beyond Brahmaloka is where the ultimate divinity is. It is said that, right, those seekers who go, that means Brahmaloka is where somebody still comes back. So how do I reach God? Where earlier Stanzas said, once you reach me, you never go, you never come back, is beyond that. Now, there is also a phrase, it is written in our scriptures, according to the gurus that, have written commentaries, that when that ultimate Ishvara takes rest, which That ultimate Ishvara, you can call it as a total mind, the mind of all people living in this creation, the total mind. Let's just say that that mind takes a rest. That means if it goes through any of that, then the entire creation, all of it, goes into dissolution. Now, don't ask me where that scale of it is. It's considered 10, 100 times that of Brahmaloka itself is what is considered that. So it is a bit, it is so huge. It's so mammoth from our scale of time, right? So we don't need to worry about what happens in that dissolution, etc. Right? For us to look at it is that what am I doing today? What is it that I can do to do better, right? And coming to realize certain things that what are the things I can do to change. There was one thing I was hearing the other day that during the time when we were having going back to a little bit to worldly things, when we were going through this independence phase, right? Our India's independence, back in early 1900, whatever time frame, people wanted to get, people like Subhash Chandra Bose and many others were fighting for independence. People in India said, why should I, we're all okay. Why do I need independence? So it took a lot of convincing for these leaders, including Mahatma Gandhi and others, that there is something called independence that we should all strive for. Because people were okay with the troubles. People are okay with being tormented. People are okay with being deprived of things that the Britishers were doing. Same that we tend to do also. We take it for granted that whatever I'm going through, even if it is hell, I live with that hell. If I'm going through some things in my job or some things in my relationship, that's the way it is. I have to live with it. Yeah, there is some level of acceptance, agree. But there is also somewhere where if I have to make a change consciously and I can do it, I should do it, isn't it? So here also Krishna is telling us in all of this big scheme of things, what you and I should do right now, right? Yeah, we can talk about Pralaya, etc., from the context of what Brahmaloka does, etc., right? But what is it that I can do so that I can make sure that every minute of my existence today is for a higher cause, is for something larger than my space of my little circle of myself, my family, etc., a lot beyond that, so that I can strive to reach the Brahmaloka or even beyond that over a period of time. So, so that is what is referred to. So if you look at till 19th stanza, he was all talking about the finitude of Brahmaloka. 20th and 21st stanza gets into what, is about what I can do, right? Is to look at the ultimate Ishvara, which is the creation, or let's just look at the ultimate entity or the super entity or the total body, whichever way you look at it, right? That entity. So there are two things that is said there, right? One is that, that is changeless, right? This goes back to that first stanza. Remember, Akshara. Akshara means what, all pervading, or, what you call it is the supreme entity, omniscient, all adjectives, etc., that you can put there, right? So one thing about changeless that gets talked about, I think just for a refresher, word changeless, what time is it now? Yeah, changeless. The word changeless is always sometimes misunderstood, right? Changeless means is what? Everything around me is changing. That's something I have to come to reality. Now, how do we understand that supreme entity is changeless? Which then we have to look at it in a different way from a rational thinking. If I have to be cognizant of something that is changing around me, if I am also changing, can I visualize what is also changing? Not possible. So somewhere it's like in a train, right? I'm sitting in one train, let's say a passenger train, and on the next track there is a Vande Bharat that's going at speed. So I am stationary, I am not changing. I can visualize the speed at which Vande Bharat is going. Yes or no? If I'm also going in a Vande Bharat on one track and another Vande Bharat is also going on an adjacent track, both at the same speed, it will look absolutely still. Absolutely no difference. I cannot see the fact that that is also moving, this is also moving. It just looks unchanged. So there is something in me, we can call it the witness or the observer, that is actually seeing things outside that is changing. So the witness entity in me is observing things changing around me. My children are growing up. I am also growing old. Hair is grown grayer when I look at myself in the mirror. So what is it that is observing what is changing? That is where the whole, strive for spirituality, etc., is to go towards that. Is to go towards that so-called changeless entity, even within myself. So when we talk about mukti or realization, there is one mukti, when the somebody who's able to come to that realization in this bodily existence, they refer to as Jivan Mukti. That means what I have, I have come to, that high level of awareness within myself through all these practices, etc., etc. Right. So Jivan Mukti happens at the bodily level. It is not after death what happens in all these other lokas and so forth. Right. So here in 20th and 21st stanza, he again stresses the fact that once you get to this Paramam Gatim. Paramam Gatim means what? The ultimate abode of my existence. In this case, when Krishna is saying, he's referring to the ultimate entity. You do not come back. So this is what all our scriptures talk about, right? When Paramam Gatam here, or that imperishable entity, unchanging entity, the unmanifest entity, we can put all the un in front of things, is considered the highest goal. Once again in 20th century, the second line says, you don't never again return. Or to look at it this way, then the question would come, there are people who come in avatars, etc. What happens to them? What Guruji says is that when you come back into this existence, yes, you are in a body, but they are not caught in their individual selves. Right? They may have a body to do transactions, but deep inside, they are in the sublime as a sublime entity. All avatars, all the realized gurus that we have around us and have come and gone, all of them, they come into this body existence to achieve some goal at a supreme level for the world, right? But at the same time, they are not playing at an individual role level like you and I are playing. So, that's where I think I'll stop today. So last thing we should leave our thought with is therefore this, right? That, we have come into this body, right? Swami Chinmaya is very puts it very bluntly. We have come into a rental place. We come and live in houses. We rent a house, and someday the boss tells you, you have to pay the rent every month or whatever. And at the end of it, they say, it's time for you to leave, etc., right? If you take it from a consciousness level, the consciousness has taken this body form. So this body is a temporary shelter. It is a rental place. It is on loan. It has been given to us to do something dharmic, something good for ourselves and good for the world around us. Right? We have to take, therefore, not as something that is going to exist forever. Someday or the other, it also has to leave. Someday it will be told to kick out. But like every other, rental place, they tell you, you have to keep the place clean. You have to pay the rent. Do all the due diligence to keep your, surroundings clean. We have to take care of ourselves for food, take care of our body, take care of our exercises, do our sadhana practices, do our spiritual practices, as you would do in a rental place for a owner of that particular property. Same thing we have to do, right? So if we keep it at that level, not looking at permanent, the word permanent doesn't exist. I always, I used to initially think when they talk about permanent insurance, permanent this, that, nothing is permanent, right? And so, just looking at this thing from a very holistic level, right, on all the scales that we just talked about, whether it is Brahma Loka or even the different layers of existence or all of that, right? Just get humble enough to just see what is, in the 30 years that I have, or 40 years or 50 years I may have lived life left behind in front of me, what are the best things that I can do? Okay. Hariom, I'll stop here. Any thoughts, questions? It's not something easy to comprehend. It is also something that just requires a lot of introspection.
It makes us to think about our existence also, sir.
Absolutely. Nirmala ji, சொல்லுங்க. Been a while உங்களோட பேசி.
Now, Mommy puts it in a very serious way and most experienced also, Mommy. Yeah, and she's highly connected to so many things.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing is, see, as we are learning this, we are able to see different. My body different. This is given to us. And that concept is sinking in. You are different from this thing. So you start looking at things as if, you are just watching.
Yes, absolutely.
That, that's slowly setting in. I'll not say that we can be totally, this thing, but definitely it helps. That understanding and the sinking in. Understanding is one thing, knowing is one thing. Because I think for so many years we have known that body is different, Atma is different, that keep on hearing. But what actually is, it takes time to... In fact, I feel over the past 3-4 years only, I'm able to look at things away from myself. Even something happens to us also, like any experience, anything, you feel as though, okay, watching it.
Very
In
nice,
fact,
very nice.
just now we went out actually, and see, when I commit something, I just think, when I said that I'll come for the session, I wanted to come for the session on time. But this being Friday evening, no, for them, this is a Friday night is a very important day for them. After 5 days of work, they want to go out and everyone wants to go out. So probably a year or 2 years back, I remember, I used to get very tensed. These people are not coming back. What is this? They are not starting from there. Those things. Today, I was very, I'll not say, though I am very interested, but I was very peaceful. I said, okay, let me see. Let us see. We'll reach. And I reached, of course, 10 minutes late, but I reached on time. Even for things which are very important for me, little bit balance is coming.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All of these
It
are
takes a
steps
lot of
towards
time,
that.
actually. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
easy. But yes.
But each thing is gives you a good feeling, right? That I'm heading the right direction. That's the important thing, right? Small steps, as they call it. Yeah.
Correct. I am able to observe when I get angry or what is affecting me. All those, as a independent way, you are able to see. That way it is easy, Otherwise, you get identified with the body and this thing is happening, that is happening, means you get very disturbed. So that transformation I'm able to see a little bit. I don't know how far, but I feel
Good, good.
yes,
Well,
to some
thanks for
extent.
sharing.
And for the
Subheshwar
time
and
factor,
Jayasudha.
what you
Yes.
said was right. Actually, time flies sometimes, you never know. You feel that, oh, it is this thing. When you're involved, especially if you are studying also something, reading something and all, you never know of the time. 45 minutes just goes away. It looks like 5 minutes. And same with the meditation also. Very true. Thank you, sir.
Subheshwar and Jayasudha, Bhavaniji, anything?
Shall I start, sir?
Sure, sure.
Yeah, it is very confusing. But there are quite a lot of occasions that I could register that um, that I have zero control on most of them, and there is a slow tendency that anyway okay, fine, yeah, anyway you will take care, that element will take care, and that is also setting in. And even for, okay, if I'm late today, okay, when are you going to correct me that 5 minutes, making me early to join 5 minutes early every day? Why should I join 9:20? So that also one, yeah, I need to change the other side. Fine. So he will take care of that as well sometime. So that element that it's beyond, it's beyond me is setting in. And two is that this kind of what is a galaxy, and above and above and above, and then how much of a minuscule and then even smaller than dust, that whatever that we are actually sitting in, that kind of uh, that kind of mindset. Now assuming that there's absolutely no doubt that understanding may start in and then come in. Now how are we going to, at a different stage of life, people are in different stage of life even within this group, how can we balance this and the other side? Yeah, I need to be confident, I need to do this, I need to face it, I need to complete this. So I should balance this, and that is one of the, I could say, the $1,000,000 question or whatever that I have, that's always actually making tough, and tough to comprehend.
Wonderful. Anything,
Very
Jayasudha?
true, sir. Even during the week, and so many tensions. Sometimes we get angry, etc. All that happens, and then we are coming back. Okay, I'm at least aware that okay, I'm getting angry. I should come out of it, type. And this weekend session settles me in. Okay, back to the ground, right? So to start again for the week, and. Sir, one doubt, sir. Actually, I was listening to last week's recording. During Naivedya, we say that Pranaya Swaha, Panaya Swaha, Udanaya Swaha, Samanaya Swaha, and Brahmane Swaha, right, sir? So, but you were explaining those are different Vayus. Prana, Pana, Samana, Vyana.
Yeah.
So, why are we chanting that during Naivedyam, sir?
Tell me, for your body to function properly, for all your nervous system to be fine, your respiratory system to be fine, which is all governed by some devatas, right? They are doing the job, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you're able to even do that Naivedya means that your body is in a certain shape to do it, yes or no? So it is a sense of gratitude. It is a sense of saying, to this I surrender, to this I bow down, to these vayus that are in me, that is, governing my existence today. Right. So right, when our body leaves it, each vayu one at a time in a certain orderly fashion, they start leaving. Right. And so we don't realize it, right? We just take things for granted on our existence every minute. So to me, the whole prayer, the entire ritual of prayer is all a sense of thank you, a sense of gratitude. And we do this through different mantras. Some people may not, do that pranayama, but they, inward settle down that, for me to be able to do this chanting now means that I'm blessed to be able to do it. Right? Things like that. That's all there is to it. And then,
I
then
had
we
a
say that,
different
and
understanding
then the
of
other
this.
thing we say is that, we offer, let's say, laddu or payasam or annam, etc. It is also nothing but given by him, right? It is, we used to tell as children, people would say, you're giving it to God so that God eats it. That's the way to understand at that childhood days. But now we understand that it is a sense of saying, it is you who have brought us here, and, I'm offering it back to you, right? As a prasad before I take it, because it is you who have brought this here. It's a humble offering. Please accept it in whatever form you take it, and then I will take it.
Yeah,
and then
that's
some people,
the
we do
understanding
this,
that.
we do this parisheshanam that some people do. Why? What is it that for? It is also the same thing, right? We offer a few rice particles on the thing so that, ants can come and eat it. We again go down to the forces, celestial forces around us, so that before I eat, the food that I eat is congenial for my stomach, congenial for my digestive system. So there is so much, science behind the things that we do, right? And that's the way I look at that. Yeah, you're saying something, Bishop. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, actually, you actually second point that you covered, sir. Like when we do parisheshanam, we say that, and then I would say I'm activating each of the vayu portions in me. The same way we also do for God, whom we offer, and then we totally take that the God is eating it, and then only we take, right? So that's what I was trying to. So we do the same thing for the God also. And that's one of the understanding that I was having.
Correct. Anything
Sir,
else?
another thing I can share.
Yeah, please go ahead.
One thing I can share. Some maybe for the past 5 years or 6 years, before that, whatever you used to make, while cooking itself, we used to taste and see, because generally my nature is generally whatever I do, I need to do it rightly, perfectly. So I don't want, tasteless or this thing food. So it should always be tasty that way. So I always taste it and this thing. The past of almost more than 5 years now, I just take bath and cook and then do the Naivedyam. Then only that practice I've started. I don't think even a single day it has so happened that the food has not come out well. I don't know. I should say very proudly only. Really. That's what I feel. Maybe we are offering to God and having it as a prasada. It's coming out well. My children will not agree. They'll say that no, because you are experienced, so you are doing it. But somehow I feel that it has. Because what happens is when you are making also, you are more alert. Because you can't taste, you have to be very clear what I have put. So that alertness also is there. And then this Naivedya is also giving it. I made it a practice for almost for the past 5 years, I think. I don't know what to say.
If you look at any of our mothers or grandmothers, none of them tasted one bit, right?
Yes, they never
They
taste.
would just day in and day out, they'll be doing it for 70, 80 years that they've been in the kitchen. Most of them were housewives, right, in those days.
Correct.
Pakka food, and even today you go to a grandmother's food, you will just say that, wow, amritam, right? Nothing less than that.
No, but somehow we got this practice, sir, tasting before this thing. That I don't know why. But for so many years I've been doing that. Tasting, before it is finally cooked. So you have to add anything or something.
I remember I was in the US many years back. I the first or second time, I don't remember. This was many years back. And somebody was making pasta. I was in somebody's home. The guy is constantly, putting his finger, putting it into his tongue. And then he put the same finger again and then, doing it. I'm saying, sorry, boss. I had to walk out of there because I couldn't comprehend what he was doing. Right?
That is a very ugly practice they do. But they have that on them it is. But this I realized actually. So I used to always feel that is
Yeah, we went off a topic a little bit. Jayasudha, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, I think Bhavaniji, we are not able to hear you,
Yeah,
though you
okay,
are
Bhavani.
unmuted.
Bhavaniji,
No, we are not able to
you're
hear you.
you're muted for whatever reason, even though it doesn't show that you're muted.
Yeah, it is not muted, but we are not able to listen to you. Now you are muted.
I think she's wearing the
Can you-
headphone, no? I think.
Yeah, can
mic
you
is
speak,
not
Yeah,
working,
Bhavaniji?
or-
you can
That
try
would be great.
without headphone, Bhavaniji. No, we are not able to listen.
Can you hear me now?
And
Yeah, that's better.
The headphone has lived its life for now. I have to. Okay. I don't know, but this group will relate to what I have to say. As he was talking about this Akshara Brahma Yoga, you would be surprised, whether you believe it or not. To me, God is the most uncompleted thing because it comes from an experience right from Arjuna Vishada Yoga, which has been time and again from 10 years to this age, and then Sankhya Yoga, then step forward to Akshara Brahma Yoga, whatever it is, an experience. Then Ramesh comes, manifests himself, then Surya. That's how it has been. Would you believe it or not? When he was doing the Akshara Brahma Yoga, whatever was flowing from me for the next verse was Ramesh was, I want to ask Ramesh this, Ramesh was giving the answer. It happens with Guruji. So you would believe it or not, all the writings which have happened has been either in one of the yogas of Gita. Okay, a human. You'll find it in WordPress at Amritara at wordpress.com, about 300 of them, maybe most of them are there. In that you will find this on time. This happened to me in when I used to do Surya Namaskara 12 into 12 144 plus these that used to happen. That time so many experiences used to come to me of this, and that time I was in an atom, like an atom. It's a power to see, the power God, generation, operation, destruction. So all these, even now I feel so that the atom is so powerful that the time and timelessness, you can feel the timelessness right in this body. It is possible because only Guruji will understand that I've experienced it. Nobody else is going to believe me, nor do I need to tell anybody. But whatever Ramesh was saying, it was happening, and you'll find it in that poem on time in Amritdhara at wordpress.com. It's not my experience. Earlier, I used to be, wow, what is this Guruji? I couldn't understand what is happening. Came on a Shivaratri day when 108 poems came to me right till that at night, and all together in one go. And morning, I just got up and wrote for 24 hours. And then I went to Guruji. So many things happened. And I couldn't contain myself. So I started getting energy. So in that time, you will find all this experience there. And it's not my experience. Let me tell you, I'm not personalizing it anymore. It's like seeing on a movie. It's your experience, your experience, your experience, and it's an experience of the big mind, which just happens. It happens as channelizes through this body. It's so wonderful, Ramesh. And earlier and all, I used to get up and then suddenly down and all that because of the high energy, which I've always been feeling right from 10 years. And it used to bring me down like peaks and graphs, the depth. But now I am just there. I am not either over elated about every second that I feel his love for me is Akshara. This Brahma, this of Brahma Loka is what I feel. This Akshara is what I feel of this group. Also, is also something like that, and he's our leader. So there is something in this group, I don't know what, which tells me. So I relived all that samadhi state of this just now when I was doing it. I am not great. No, I am a very small, minuscule thing, but it can pass through the anil also. And all the things you were saying, it was coming to me. It's not in words. How do I express? I don't know. I have no words. Just go through time and you were Amrit Dara, AMRITHDHAARA at wordpress.com. So I removed that power of politics, race, and all that, where I talked about things I saw, the art of living everywhere, and all that I've removed. There's nothing there because it's public. I wrote and deleted it. But please go through that because I want people to know what this little Bhavani has experienced Guruji's grace after that, because it is something esoteric. You understand, right? It's esoteric. So please find time to go through it and feedback. I've stopped asking because I don't write to people, you like, please and do. I want even 10 people to understand what I'm saying and go through that and understand it, open up. My life is lived. I don't need anything at this stage of life. He just manifested himself. Who? Ramesh. All of you manifested because the unmanifest experience, all of you have come to me at that stage of life when I see you as a manifestation of what I experience. You are there in human form for me. Nirmala, Jayasudha, Vasuprada, Kumbesh, Ramesh, Lakshmi. And I am going to hold satsang once Surya is okay. I will either come there so that all of you are there, or I'll come here. I'm going to have bhajans with you and I'm going to meet you when Ramesh gives a green signal. Okay? Thank you.
Right. So we'll close for today then.
Yeah.
Om Kayena Vacha Manasendreva Buddhyatmana Bha Prakrute Swabhavat Karomi Yadyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanahyeti Samarpayami Narayanahyeti Samarpayami Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Hari Om. Jai Gurudev, everybody.
Hari Om,
Thank you
sir.
for
Hari Om,
Happy
sir.
Diwali
Thank
to
you.
Hari Om.
everybody.
Happy Diwali.
Happy
Happy
Diwali.
Happy
to all of
Diwali
you.
to